Good morning! Today I'm going to do my everyday makeup routine. So I'm starting off with the MAC Cosmetics. Everything in this video is going to be MAC. This is the Studio Radiance Silky Primer. I've already had most of my routine down, but adding that primer took it to the next level for me. And I cannot start my makeup without taking my MAC Studio Fix concealers. Under my eyes, I'm using NC35 because it's like the perfect tone for me. And then around my mouth, I'm using a warmer, peachier, orangier shade in NW30 to color correct. And I'm blending it out with this brush. And I find that doing my concealer before my foundation and before everything else kind of gives me the perfect base to work off of, so that way I'm not overusing foundation. My favorite concealers of all time is just the Studio Fix. So I love NC35 because it's literally my perfect shade. At first I thought it was going to be too dark, but actually it was perfect. The depth, it gives me enough brightness, enough highlight, but also it's the perfect shade to actually just conceal. Even if I didn't want to highlight, it's perfect. I'm playing around with the two darkest shades in this Pro Contour face palette. I love it so much. I use the third darkest color to give me some bronzer, some definition, some warmth, and then later I take the deepest shade to kind of define in the hollows of my face and define my nose contour. Then I wanted to switch up my foundation routine. Instead of using Strobe Dewy Skin Tint and Serum Powered, I'm using Water Weight and Strobe Face Glaze, which was limited edition. So I'm mixing that on top of the primer, and this gave me the most beautiful glow. Let me look at my skin right now as I'm talking. My skin is flawless. I love it. It's actually so beautiful. I might spray on a little bit of Fix Plus because I feel like I'm a bit too matte, but my skin is really, really juicy and I really love this combination. But I do think I like the Serum Powered foundation with the Strobe Dewy Skin Tint more than this mixture that I did today. Use anything that you have, mix together anything that you already have in your collection. That's the best way to go. I'm going in with this Glow Play blush. It's a cream blush and I use the shade Totally Synced. I personally like to build up my blush in very light, thin layers, so I'm never going in with like a huge amount right off the bat. I'm constantly doing it in tiny little layers, as you see here. And it's just the perfect ice, cool tone, pink. It's like a cute baby pink color. I love it. And then now I'm actually going in and taking that deepest shade in the Pro Contour palette and going in and defining, restructuring, redefining all of my contour that I've done. And I do this last. Again, working in small, thin layers, I'm taking the NW30 concealer that I used around my mouth to color correct, and I'm using it on top of this concealer now before I go in with more face products. So I'm just using this to kind of, color correct any darkness that I have without having to go in with more concealer. And then I'm going to set the whole face with Fix Plus. I already did my powder off camera. Now I'm going in with the Studio Fix foundation powder. This is in a bright shade C3, and I use this on top of my loose setting powder because I find that it's my favorite way to use the Studio Fix to brighten. I can't just use it by itself. It has to sit on top of a translucent powder. And I'm taking this with a MAC 240 brush, which I still cannot figure out what is my ideal way of using this brush. So right now I'm kind of playing around with it. Last time I used it to blend out my concealer. Now I'm using it to put the powder down. C3 is my perfect under eye brightener shade because it's just natural enough where it looks like my skin, but it's just a tad bit brightening to the point where you get to see the highlight. And most importantly, it's giving me extra coverage under my eyes, so I don't have to go in with layers and layers and layers of concealer because that would just make me look cakey. And I'm just going to take this powder, and instead of using the 240, I decided I wanted to use the 109. This brush, I still also am trying to find my ideal way to use it, so right now it's just kind of like my powder buffing brush. Then I'm taking the C8 Studio Fix Powder Foundation. This is my bronzer / contour shade, and I did that off camera as well. And here's my skin with no beauty filter, and then with the beauty